All right, we're going to give this a go. I will be making the videos that I make, the notes. I'm making these for both my adult class that I teach at night and the high school class that I teach during the day. So the only difference between what I teach those two classes is the calculator that I use. So from this lesson forward, my calculator videos will always be separate. So I will show you how to quote do it by hand or using StatCrunch on this video, and then I will and I'm gonna show you StatCrunch most of the time, obviously, because it's a pretty straightforward way to go. But then the calculator videos will be separate because y'all use different calculators. So the first thing that I need you to know is that in 6-1 and 6-2 we do confidence intervals. So both of these sections are over confidence intervals. And the trick to doing confidence intervals is paying attention to whether or not you know the population standard deviation. So the very first question you should ask yourself when you realize that you're doing a confidence interval, do I know the population standard deviation? Do I know sigma, the population deviation? And the reason that you need to know that is because I don't know what's happening. The reason that you need to know that is because if the answer is yes, then you're going to be using a z-test or a z-interval. Let me see. I don't remember exactly what it is, so I want to see it real quick. You'll be using z-stats. You'll be using z-stats. And if the answer is no, you'll be using t-stats. Okay, so that's why that's the very first question you'll need to ask. I'm going to go ahead and tell you. And 6.1 on all of these, we know the population standard deviation, and I believe at 6.2, we will not know. And pretty much the only thing that changes is whether or not we use the z-stats or the t-stats. That's really the only thing that changes. So this lesson will probably be really important and in depth, and then the next lesson will be just a follow-up on this one, and that's going to be the only thing that changes. So what's happening in a confidence interval is that you're going to be looking at a sample. Okay. So first of all, the first thing is you're going to be working with a sample. Okay. And you're going to be trying to, you want to use that sample to predict something about the population. And I started to put mean right here because I think that's what we do. Almost every single problem, we predict the mean, but I don't think it has to be the mean. Even though that's what we do, I don't think it has to be the mean. So predict something about the population. And so we're going to be working with the sample, and then we're going to use that sample to predict something about the population. Most likely, it's going to be the mean of the population. Okay. So, and they're going to give us your confidence interval is basically how uh, confident do you think you are? Because remember, we're using it to predict something. So your confidence interval is going to be the percentage of your confidence, how right that you think you are with this prediction. Okay, so that's the big picture of what's happening. All right. Your confidence interval is always going to be a chunk out of the middle of this standard curve. It's usually going to be numbers like 90, 95, 97, 92, 80, 85. Those numbers are going to change, but it's going to come right out of the middle of the chunk. And if you're doing it by hand, of course, you're going to need to know about the area to the left. So we usually find this piece right here. And the reason that we found this piece right here is because it's going to be the easiest one to find the left, the area to the left of. Okay. Now I'm going to do it by, I'm going to do the first example. I'm going to use StatCrunch first because I want you to see that it's really easy, but I'm also going to show you how to do it by using the formulas that I'm going to give you on your formula sheet. And I know that a lot of you may be having a question about your first test, and I can't tell you anything definitely for sure yet. I will most likely just send it to you via putting it on Blackboard, uploading it on Blackboard, and you will have to work it off. And I don't know, take a picture of it and send it back. I haven't decided yet how I'm going to do the test. Some have talked about finding questions on my StatCrunch that are, on my Stat Lab that are equivalent to what I would have asked you. And I may even play with seeing if I can write my own questions. If I can write my own questions, that's probably how I'll do it. That way we don't have to worry about you scanning your work and me grading it by hand. So the next test is kind of up in the air. I don't know yet what I'm going to do. So that's what we'll know about that. I have not been paying attention to how long this video is. So I'm going to go ahead and stop it right now and before I start the first example.